Hello, we're here today with Amanda Wick, the founder and CEO of the Association for Women in Cryptocurrency. Welcome, Amanda. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We have a short amount of time to go through some key concepts in crypto, and Amanda comes to us with an incredible history across crypto crime and prosecutions, and we're going to learn a little bit about why the compliance and the regulations are there to keep everybody safe. So Amanda, do you want to just tell us a little bit of your history and some of the worst things that you've seen that maybe could have been prevented with a little bit more knowledge?
Yeah, sure. So I spent about a decade as a federal prosecutor for the United States Department of Justice, mostly doing money laundering. Eventually got into crypto money laundering because it got laundered like everything else does. Saw the good sides of the tech and the bad sides of the tech, because there's a famous quote that tech is neither good nor bad, people are. And so you see that a lot in technology that can either do really, really good or that can be used by bad people to do bad things.
When you saw, things breaking apart, falling down, and money and value being used for bad purposes, what do you wish, the founders and the crypto businesses knew?
I think it's like the concept of inventing a car, right? Everybody thinks when they invent the car, they're going to transport families, they're going to drive to essential places, and nobody really thought that it would also allow bank robbers to get away a lot faster than horses. Fun fact, bank robbers were the first adopter of cars, and that's what helped grow the industry, because criminals are always the first adopters of new technology. And I think the thing is when you're building something, you have a tendency to think about the wonderful things that it can do. You tend not to think about what's the worst case scenario of what could somebody do with my product that maybe I'm not even thinking about. And so I spend a lot of time talking with founders about worst case scenario mind mapping, and then also the concept of like compliant design, building compliance into your product, or building in the things that try to prevent your product from being used for bad and giving it a competitive edge to be used for good.
And what's the key thing that you see founders could be doing better?
I think the big thing for me is that when founders move oftentimes from tech into fintech, they sometimes forget the fin part, in that they are moving into the most highly regulated space in the world. I think sometimes people forget that there's a reason that we slowed down financial services to make sure that people who we don't want getting value, who traffic children, who exploit minors, who operate countries that are malign foreign actors, all of these things that we don't spend a lot of time thinking of are very scary if they get a lot of money. And so you want some friction to prevent certain parts of the sector from having access to tons of money, but you want good people who need it to be able to get access to it.
Is there a right amount of friction in the customer and the user experience? I want to move, I want to trade fast, I want to withdraw my money fast because I've got things to do with it, good things to do. Why should I be affected because of the need to slow down for the bad actors? Is there any harmony or perfect position?
There might be, but we're definitely not there now. And I think part of the problem is that historically traditional banking and traditional finance was an identity model where you go into a financial institution and they assess how clean is Joni and what is Joni doing. The beauty of crypto and blockchain technology is it's very transaction based, right? And if what I care about is the transaction dirty, I can worry about who's committing it later. That's a very different system, and it actually even requires kind of a different shift mindset in how do we do that if what we're concerned about is money laundering and terrorist financing. Maybe I don't particularly care who the terrorist is, I just want to make sure terrorists don't get that money. That might be a different system. And I think the tension that we're going through now is we don't have a good digital identity system, we don't have good digital payments, we don't have the infrastructure that you need to create that right amount of friction. And working with regulators to figure out what that should look like is a real struggle of what's going on right now.
Do you think industry should step up and try to put standards out about the right amount of friction, or the right, that industry can move faster in theory than fragmented regulations around the world? I mean, in the association, Amanda travels to every corner of the globe. So you're hearing everything. Is there room for industry to step up, or how are they already stepping up?
There's a ton of room. I think organizations, like I recently became an advisor to the Global Blockchain Business Council. I think they're really focused on this. There's groups like the Blockchain Governance Initiative Network that are working on governance and standards. I also think that probably in the near future, you're going to see some kind of association or group or some emergence of what I call good crypto that we need to basically call out bad crypto, because there is a part of the industry, the speculation, the folks who don't have sufficient compliance, the folks who are just kind of like just grabbing as much money as possible and not caring about consumers, regulators, etc. And there's going to have to be kind of like a reckoning of crypto blockchain for good and who's making it more difficult for the industry. I think when that kind of divergence happens, I think it'll be easier for blockchain for good to have the conversations with regulators with the credibility and the voices that they have saying, we know what we need to do right, let us help you build regulations that reflect the tech. Whereas when this group is in the room, it is very difficult for a regulator to take you seriously when you are a transnational money laundering organization camouflaged as an exchange. You really need kind of like a watchdog for the industry to say best practices, standards, governance, this is who we need to be to survive. And if you're not with us, you're against us. And I do think that there are some incredible people in this industry who are going to do some really great things. I think there's a lot of people globally who are finding each other, and groups like DECA do this, and it's a slow process, but I think it's actually gaining momentum now with that maturation, and I'm really excited about that.
Great to have you, Amanda.
Thanks for having me.